Welcome to the Kaala Evans Show. This platform is uniquely designed to educate and empower individuals of all walks of life as we converse with experts of various industries. These intellectual conversations are designed to inspire and uplift members of our culture and society, collectively gaining knowledge and information dedicated to our human experience. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Kaala Evans Show. We have a friend of the family who is returning, the one, the only, Robin Brown, everybody. Welcome back to the show. The first time Robin was on the show, we were talking about her journey. She was just announcing that she was campaigning for District 5 school board, and she is with us now as the member-elect of District 5 for PG County Public Schools. Congratulations, Robin. We're so excited that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me back. You know, this is family. So, of course, when the invitation came, I definitely had to do it. So I appreciate you for this again.
Of course. So let's just jump right in. Yeah. So just taking us back a little bit, understanding your motivation to run for the District 5 school board member seat in the first place. How has your campaign experience overall really shaped your perspective moving forward?
You know, my kids inspired me, honestly, from the beginning, and my community inspired me from the beginning. The campaigning is what I tell everybody was possibly the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. It is mentally exhausting. It is physically exhausting, psychologically. But, you know, when you have your community behind you, it makes it a lot easier. When you have your family behind you, of course, it makes it a lot easier. And your community consistently reminds you what the greater goal is. And the greater goal is our children for Prince George's County. That's and right. So I'm excited to be on this journey. I'm excited to receive feedback, to talk to my constituents. It's funny, I haven't even been sworn in, but I'm already working. So when I say I'm ready, I'm definitely ready. So it's my perspective of my community has remained, honestly, because they care. Like the people in Prince George's County, the parents, even the people that don't have children in Prince George's County, they're concerned. They want to see their county flourish, whether it be economically, but also when it comes to education. And so I'm excited about this journey and teaming up with like-minded people to make sure that, you know, PGCPS is the best that it can be.
Absolutely. And we as the community are right behind you. We've been standing with you, beside you, and we'll keep moving with you moving forward.
Thank you. And yes, I saw. Y'all came and voted. So
the numbers were clear. Okay.
Yes, they were.
the people's voice was heard.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking to the community piece, because your entire campaign was based upon the fact that you yourself are a heavily involved member of the community. And you connected with so many parents and neighbors and community members, understanding who they are. What are some of the key issues you heard from constituents in District 5 that you plan to focus on during your term?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I mean, the number one issue, of course, was the budget, right? Mm-hmm. What are we spending our money on because it's not reflective of our community? And that was always a big concern because we have residents who have been here, you know, since the first brick was laid at Pointer Ridge. Right. And they're concerned not only from the aesthetic side, but also with the maintenance side. You know, how are we maintaining these buildings? Is enough money being allocated for that? Of course, the other concern was just to make sure that programs that were allocated to students who are in special education, you know, is that something that we have been paying attention to? And so the budget, of course, making sure things are allocated for special education. And another topic that I had also heard in the community was ADA compliance, right? You know, there are some individuals who can't even get their wheelchairs through certain doors or their own classrooms. And so it makes it impossible, right, for them to actually get the education that they're supposed to be receiving at the time that's allocated to them. But, you know, the budget is going to be number one, right? Because even the governor has told us there's going to be a huge deficit when it comes to just the Maryland budget in general. And I also think with the new administration that's in town for DC, we're all kind of waiting to see what exactly is going to happen. And so a lot of waiting, a lot of
Okay.
concern of how we're going to spend this money.
Yes.
And how we're going to take care of the students who had the biggest need, I think were the biggest topics that I heard during the campaigning.
Okay.
And that's something I want to focus on. So
understanding folks' needs and then aligning that with your priorities obviously is important.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I've heard in talking with folks is understanding how we translate that communication from what's happening in the board member room to the people who are impacted by the decisions being made in the board member room. Right. So how do you plan to ensure that your constituents are abreast of what's happening now and then what's to come?
Absolutely. So I definitely want to bring back town halls in District 5. I think this is such a great opportunity to not only team up with schools, but to also team up with stakeholders, right? And so having opportunities to team up with, I'm just giving an example, the NAACP, which I'm a member of, teaming up with churches, having opportunities to speak to residents of District 5, to get more insight and get more information as far as what are the needs of PGCPS and what that looks like. I'll give another example. So the city of Bowie, public safety committee, they're like, hey, what can we do? And so everybody really wants to have an opportunity to give, whether it's monetarily, but to have an opportunity to educate constituents on what we can do moving forward. I think I tell everybody possibly my first year is going to be heavily on the education piece when it comes to the constituents. Right. Hey, this is my job. This is what I do. This is what I'm willing to do. These are things that are coming down the pipeline. These are this is where I need support when it comes to legislation. And so really that communication, that learning piece, teaming up with Bowie High School, obviously it's our only high school, but their SGA is very involved. Their PTSOs are very involved. And so ensuring that we get that piece and partner up with them and educate our constituents that way is going to be a big thing. So I have a lot of work to do, but I'm excited about the opportunity. Something that I've learned throughout the campaign is people love seeing elected officials in person.
Yes.
And so having that opportunity to be a hybrid, right? Because I definitely obviously can't be everywhere at the same time, but even having the option of doing a Zoom meeting every other month or whatever that looks like, those are things that I'm trying to implement moving forward so that individuals know, like, hey, this is what's happening at the Board of Education level. This is what we're advocating for, or this is what has not gone through. And so that transparency piece is also going to be important with the community members as well, because I think that was something that they were lacking.
Speaking on behalf of the community, I think it's important for folks to understand what the school board actually does. Yeah. I think we have a lot of expectations, like my kid is having a hard time, he's being bullied. What is the school board going to do about it? And although, we're concerned about that, that's not really what the school board is there for. So if you could really speak to what the board members' role and responsibility is, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, so I think this is a great question. And a lot of people definitely are like, well, what are you going to actually be doing, right? And so I want to make sure individuals know, as far as like board members are concerned, we do not deal with the operations at the school. That is the superintendent's job. He deals with the operational procedures at the schools. Typically, principals do have a full autonomy of their schools, so they're able to run their schools based on the criteria that the superintendent gives them. So there's that portion. I can't go into a school and say, no, you got to do it like this, right? No. However, so the board responsibilities are developing policies, right? And one of the policies that I know that I'm almost certain that's going to come down the pipeline possibly, is the cell phone policy. So get ready for that, because that is definitely something that has been talked about in the county council, and they are concerned about individuals. Prince George's County has already started doing pilots of schools, so they want to see the data on a no cell phone policy and what that looks like based on the data that they received. I think it's about 12 schools within Prince George's County. So developing policy, right, and what that looks like. So of course, adopting operations and capital budgets. We talked about the budget, right? What that looks like. And so from my understanding, obviously I'm not in the seat exactly yet, but from my understanding, we kind of vote on the allocation of those funds and what that looks like. So the superintendent, of course, and his team will give us the information and what they're looking to spend money on. And then from my understanding, we kind of vote based on that. Appointing personnel. Okay. So of course, that's super important when it comes to, hey, we think this person should be getting in. Typically, the board is supposed to appoint superintendents or be a part of that process. Right. But yeah, so that's kind of what that is as well. Establishing school boundaries, right? We know Prince George's County is growing. Development is like everywhere, and we see it. And so we know that more children are going to come. And so with that, we really have to see, okay, where low enrollments are, where can we reset boundaries so that more children can go over here. And that helps with overcrowding, right? We want to make sure that we prevent that as much as possible. But also, of course, when you go back to the budget, right? How many more schools do we need to develop based on the population of students that we have? Of course, this is my favorite one, communicating with residents, staff, and students. That's going to be super important. I already have a meeting booked with the SGA for Bowie High School in December. So a week after I get sworn in, I'm ready to meet with students. So yes, we're rolling. So I'm excited about this. So communicating with residents, I definitely think is going to be my strongest point in all this, because I do want everybody to know what is going on, how they could be helpful, and how they can be impactful in the PGCPS community as well. So we act as a quasi-judicial capacity to decide student and employee appeals. I'm sure we can't really go into that as far as the safety of the student and their families, as well as the teachers or whatever the situation is. Appraising educational and administrative management. And so again, we're going to be looking at the data. We're going to be looking at the curriculum and how effective it is, how non-effective it is. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that, again, Prince George's County Public Schools has the best of the best, because we are the best. And so that's kind of a little bit of what we essentially do. I hope that it helps, but you all will definitely be hearing from me a lot this year.
And we love that.
These next 4 years. So, hey.
We love that. Thank you for that, Robin. So you mentioned earlier that there's a relationship between the city council. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk a little bit about how, as a board member elect or as a school board member, you will be working with local and state elected officials in pushing forward as far as the school's agenda is concerned. What does that relationship typically look like?
Yeah, so I mean, local is so important because they're about to go into legislation, and we need to make them aware of what is going on. So when we ask for money, like, hey, we need money because this is what's going on, or we need legislative change because we're unable to do this. And I'll give an example of that. So recently we had Legislative Day in Prince George's County Public Schools, where we invited delegates, county council members, just to kind of hear what our views were and why things needed to change. And one of a great example of that did not even necessarily mean anything when it came to monetarily needed, right? So the example of this is vaccinations, right? Mm-hmm. And so when new students come into Prince George's County Public Schools, there is a window that they are allowed to have, not their vaccinations not up to date. There's a window for that. And in that window, they only allow, I think, 20 days for new students. Now, we have seen the influx of the migrant population double, triple within Prince George's County. I mean, just nationwide in general. Now, anytime a student does not have full vaccinations, by the 20th day, they can no longer be enrolled in Prince George's County public schools, simply because this is a public health issue, right?
Yeah.
What Prince George's County Schools is asking, because, you know, obviously there is a staff shortage. Hey, can we get an additional 10 more days, 20 more days to ensure that we can make sure all students can get vaccinated in a timely manner? Because when students are not vaccinated in a timely manner and you lose a pupil, you lose money in that school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so all those things kind of tie in to legislation in the county council level, in the delegate level, when it comes to Annapolis. And so we really have to pay attention when it comes to ensuring that the local officials, elected officials, are really building that relationship and that core understanding of what is needed for the local level, so that when they get to the state level,
Mm-hmm.
they know what to ask for. They know the need, and they know a little bit more of an understanding for that. And so Blueprint for Maryland schools is also something that we want to make sure we are really, really gung-ho about. This is something that could really transform our schools. And so, again, when it comes to legislation, local level, they just need to know what to ask for, because all these things are going to be signed by our governor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like how everything kind of ties together, you know, and that's why it's so important to get involved locally, because you are fully affected by everything that happens. And so, yeah, that was a great question. But yeah, that's how it's connected. So
we are in one of the largest school districts in the country.
Yeah.
And we have a very diverse student base that has a lot of different needs.
Absolutely.
And having a school board member who understands that and recognizes that and advocates for that is extremely important.
Yeah.
And you also have a very unique perspective in that you are of Haitian descent.
Yes.
And your family comes from a diverse background.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding your background and then that of your constituents, how do you feel like that ties into your advocacy as a school board member moving forward?
Absolutely. And thanks for bringing that up, Kayla. That means so much to me, because this campaign trail was definitely interesting, to say the least. But what I can say about my community and just the French Francophone community that is starting to build in District 5 and Prince George's County just in general, they love the relatability that I bring. You know, as a first gen, even with the high school students, I get it. You know, I understand. And so sometimes they feel a lot more comfortable talking to me, because they're like, you know, even though we're American born, our families aren't from here. And so having those two dynamics and being able to be and kind of navigate the Prince George's County public school or the public school system, I've been through that. You know, I know how it feels to have a parent that obviously English is a second language, and they can't help you with your FAFSA, but I want to be able to say, hey, let me assist with that. Let me teach you. Let me bring those resources to be able to help you navigate those. I mean, I've had parents who are, you know, not from this country that don't know how to get a transcript for their child. And they made that very vocal, that they felt like the school wasn't allowing them to have the resources to make sure that the child goes to college, right? Because that's definitely a dream that most parents have just for their kids in general. But I am excited about partnering with their local businesses. I'm excited about having an impact and letting them know how their children could also be impactful in the community that they're now calling home. Because I think it's important that, you know, we live in the United States of America, right? And so this is what this looks like. This is what the United States of America looks like. It looks like a melting pot of individuals from everywhere who are going to make, and I don't want to even say that saying, but who are going to make Prince George's County wonderful. So yeah, I'm excited about that opportunity to bring my expertise, but also my history and where I come from. And everyone should be proud of where they come from, whether their family is from Nigeria, Haiti, Cameroon. I know we have a huge Cameroon population. South Carolina, it doesn't matter. You should be proud of where you come from. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
I am too. Mm-hmm. I want to touch on our first interview when we talked about how you came to the decision to run in the first place, which is motivated by your son challenging you to do so.
Yes.
So now that you have won the election and you are getting ready to be sworn in, I'm curious to know what those conversations look like at home now that mom has come to the challenge and defeated the challenge from her son. So I want to hear a little bit about, from a parent's perspective, what that looks like.
Yeah, I think they're excited. They're like, oh my gosh, like she won. Like this is crazy. But it really was a testament of hard work paying off. It really was a testament of hard work paying off. My kids saw how hard I worked.
That's right.
My husband saw how hard I worked. There were times where I wasn't able to be places because I wanted to make sure that my community knew I was here for them. But, getting my kids involved in it was the icing on the cake, because it wasn't that they only saw it, they were also a part of that hard work, right? And so they saw the importance of teamwork. They saw the importance of believing in yourself, despite what people may not, because my kids got rejected when they would knock on doors, and, they were told nasty things, but they kept moving, and they knew that there was going to be a favorable result if they kept pushing. And so I think this really solidified for my kids that they could be anything that they put their minds to. And that meant this win means so much more to that aspect than actually winning, right? Just my kids being able to see like, oh, if my mom can do this, I could do this, and it's not saying that it was an easy feat. It was just showing that if I just do what I'm supposed to do, and I push and I try my best and I work my hardest, it'll come into fruition. And so, I'm just, and of course they're like, okay, but don't come to the school. It was short-lived, but like, oh my God, please don't tell anybody, and they just want to live normal lives, and then as they should, right? But I would say, trust me, your teachers will be aware. Some of their friends, that helped with the campaign that are aware, but they really are trying to keep it as private as possible. So I said, well, just be an example everywhere you go, and made me proud. That's all I ask. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because that also is a testament to your integrity too.
Yes.
The fact that you are in this space with no backing from any major organization,
right,
and you made it happen just based upon what you had in your own
right.
And we applaud you for that. I'm so excited about what's to come. I know you haven't technically been sworn in yet, but it's coming. It's coming very soon. And we, the people, are excited to see how you advocate and how you communicate and partner with us as community members moving forward.
Yes, I'm excited, and I'm ready.
So how can folks kind of stay in touch with you, see what's happening next as you transition into your new role?
Yeah, so my email still works, Robin Brown, 4 PGCPS @gmail.com. I'm still very active on my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm still going to have those pages up and used so that people know throughout, that'll kind of just be the hub of where you can get all the information, where I'll be at. I'll have my event invites on there as well. Of course, I'll have a PGCPS email, but I haven't gotten it yet. So just wait, and I'll have a phone. I was like, do I really need a phone? But no, I'll have a way that everyone can contact me. But yeah, a lot of constituents have been contacting me through social media, and they get responses immediately. And so you'll hear from me for sure. That's why I was able to be sustainable throughout this campaign. And guess what? I'll be sustainable in the next 4 years. You'll still be able to reach me. You'll still be able to contact me. And so, yeah, please reach out to me. I would love to hear questions, concerns, opportunities to serve. So yeah, that's how people can contact me.
Thank you so much, Robin, for returning back to the show. I'm sure we'll see you again. Okay.
Yes.
Robin Brown, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another fantastic episode of the Kaala Evans Show. I'm so excited to partner with you moving forward, Robin. You know, I'm always in your corner.
Yes, and I appreciate you for that. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And
absolutely.
Let's do this next time.
Thank you. Until next time, family. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining me for another extraordinary conversation today on the Kaala Evans Show. I invite you to stay engaged with me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Please follow me at the Kaala Evans Show on all social media and podcast platforms. More love, more life, more blessings. Until we meet again.